Hello. Let us wait for a few minutes if anybody joins. All right, so we will start. Hello, everyone. This is the session two of our subject, sustainable supply chain. In the session one, we have covered the first two topics, which are defining the sustainable supply chain. What is the impact of sustainable supply chain on business performance? Why? What are the drivers for it? Why is it required? We also had a brief discussion about what is environmental life cycle assessment, which is the topic number two, because whenever we want to transform our existing supply chain towards a sustainable supply chain, we want some kind of measurements to be done, some kind of framework which we can follow. So that we start with the life cycle assessment of the products that we manufacture or procure. So the life cycle started from raw material sourcing, uh, processing of that raw material by our suppliers, which can be tier one, tier two, tier three suppliers, as long your backward supply chain goes, and then your upstream supply chain, which we call, which is coming towards you, and then your downstream supply chain, which goes towards the customers, like the the processing that you do, the assembly that you do of that raw material, goods or semi-finished assemblies. Then the logistics also, your distributors, retailers, and eventually the customer, how they are going to use it and dispose it of. So the complete life cycle assessment we do, we check the inputs within the selected boundary of the system that we have in that life cycle. So not all stages you will be able to cover up from the beginning. So you start small, you start with yourself first, then you go to the next levels in your supply chain and slowly try to cover the complete life cycle supply chain of your product. So uh, while you start, you want to monitor at each phase what are the inputs, such as the raw material for that life cycle, what are the energy resources that are going, what other activities which are consuming energy that are required in that particular process, and then you evaluate or measure what are the outputs. Such as any kind of air pollutants, water pollutants, soil pollutants, your product in itself is an output of that process, right? And any other releases if it has. Then we categorize them based on whether this is related to um, CO2 emissions if they are high, SO2 emissions, we spoke about acidification, categorization. Then, is it impacting the ozone layer? So, does it have CFC-11 emissions, etc.? There are many various regulations related to soil pollutants. You need to monitor the so whenever we are saying that we measure these outputs, we measure the exact output that is being generated. So if I'm saying I have to measure the CO2 emissions, it is measured in uh, terms of kg. In terms of CFC, we measure it in terms of kg. So that we have some guidelines from the regulations on what should be the level which you cannot surpass. There are some restrictions on the amount of CO2 emissions that you can have, right? Ultimately, we are trying towards, completely nullifying the emission or having no emissions at all, which is also known as, sometimes you must have seen some companies have decided to go carbon neutral. Some companies have decided to you would see their statements like net zero or something like that. So those are nothing but your some kind of initiatives you have taken up. So those are based on these measurements of outputs that you do in each life cycle. So once that life cycle assessment is done, you can then start categorizing them with that data. You can then focus on, okay, which area do we have to focus on in order to make our supply chain sustainable. So now the we today we will start with the topic 3 and topic 4 in this session 2. So topic 3 is related to procurement function. So and the topic 4 is related to manufacturing function. So supply chain, as we all know, is comprising of various players. But yeah, as a manufacturer, we as a part of that supply chain, we are controlling that supply chain as the driver. So our different, if you want to make the supply chain related to my particular company, I have to start with different functions, part by part. So we are starting with procurement as a function wherein we will have the topic as introduction to sustainable procurement and its impact on business performance. Why do we start with procurement as the first function? Because uh, procurement, whatever the kind of expenditure any organization does or any operational cost of a company, if you calculate what are the different functions those are contributing to the total cost, procurement has in most of the organization more than 50% or maximum share in the operational costs, because procurement is what is the definition of procurement? Procurement is nothing but the process of sourcing, purchasing, and managing acquisition of goods, services, or works from external sources. So it is comprising of the maximum amount of operational costs. So that is the main driver for any supply chain. So we are going to start with our first focus on procurement as a function and how to make it sustainable and its impact on business performance. So let me share my slides with you. Okay, so I hope the slides are visible. The first topic that we will discuss today is topic 3, Introduction to Sustainable Procurement and its impact on business performance. So the session objectives that we have today, which will comprise of both sustainable procurement and sustainable manufacturing, the two functions that we are going to touch or discuss upon today are procurement and manufacturing. So under sustainable procurement, we will define sustainable procurement, its importance. We'll understand some key principles for subjects of under sustainable procurement. We'll identify drivers like risk management, cost optimization, and compliance. And we will also learn about risk management and due diligence strategies under sustainable procurement. Then we will move to sustainable manufacturing, where we will define the sustainable manufacturing and its benefits. We'll understand its key principles like resource efficiency, waste reduction. We'll assess its impact on productivity and innovation. And we will explore some technologies or some techniques that we can use towards our sustainable manufacturing. Then, okay, so we'll start with sustainable procurement first as a function. So as we discussed, procurement is the process of sourcing, purchasing, and managing the acquisition of goods, services, or works from external sources. So whatever is required for you to manufacture a good, manufacture a service, manufacture a product, you have to start with the procurement of the raw material for that particular activity. So the raw material, the equipment that you are going to use to, process that raw material, either your CNC machine, lathe machine, your facilities, those everything, your capital goods, as we say, those everything you have to purchase. You also have to procure the human resources required for that. Some companies work on contracted human resources, so those also need to be procured. So procurement in general sense is the drives the major chunk of operational costs, and it is the main driver of any operations. If you have to have a sustainable supply chain, you need to start with sustainable procurement first. So then procurement, we have seen what it is. Then what is sustainable procurement? So we have seen what is sustainable supply chain, where we saw that the three pillars of sustainable supply chain were economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and social sustainability, right? So similar uh, applies to sustainable procurement also, that it focuses on achieving positive economic, environmental, and social impacts while minimizing adverse effects across the entire life cycle of goods and services. Now, what is procurement doing? It is just sourcing the material or purchasing the material and managing the overall acquisition of goods and services. So while doing that, they need to focus, or we need to focus as procurement on the positive economic, environmental, and social impact of the activity that we are doing, and while minimizing the adverse effects across the entire life cycle of the goods and services. Now, main difference between normal procurement that we do in day-to-day basis in our factories, in our companies is, and the sustainable procurement is that sustainable procurement is focusing on the entire life cycle of goods and services. Now, first we have to understand, we saw what is the life cycle of goods and services, which was the raw material extraction, then processing of that raw material by our suppliers, then we as manufacturers manufacturing the goods using the semi-finished products from our suppliers, then going those products going to the delivery distributors or retailers, and then they going to the users who are using it, and then users after the complete use of the product, they are discarding it, either disposing of the product or recycling it, or just dumping it in landfills. And also the logistics in this complete life cycle, from getting that part or goods from one place to another, from your supplier to manufacturer, from you as a manufacturer to your distributor, from distributor to the customer. So that entire life cycle, water is under focus for sustainable procurement. But for regular procurement that we do or come across in our organizations, they do not focus on the entire life cycle. So what is the entire life cycle and how procurement has to focus on the costs, or how sustainable procurement focuses on that? We will see in the next slide. But before that, why is sustainable procurement important? Because like sustainable supply chains, sustainable procurement is the starting point for our activity towards sustainability. So it reduces environmental footprint, like the reduction of carbon emissions, net zero, etc. Reduction of any air polluting uh, pollutants, reduction of soil pollutants, etc. Uh, Sustainable procurement promotes ethical sourcing and fair labor practices. We had seen in under sustainable supply chain some of the key features we had seen. In that, ethical sourcing and or ethical labor practices were mentioned. So procurement definitely has a direct control over promoting ethical sourcing and fair labor practices. How it should has to be done, we will see in the upcoming slides. Then sustainable procurement ensures compliance with sustainability regulations, which we have also seen in the topic one, and it enhances long-term business resilience. So how it enhances business resilience, that also we will see in upcoming slides. But business resilience is you are in a position, you are agile, your business, and you are able to counter any supply chain disruptions more efficiently and effectively if you have a sustainable procurement function, or in general, if you have a sustainable supply chain, you are in a better position to handle any challenges because of supply chain disruptions. So the recent supply chain disruptions that we all know was during the COVID 19 time, where the entire global supply chain was disrupted because of lockdowns, because of lack of transport, factories getting shut down, etc. So if business resilience means in the face of such disruptions, maybe it is because of some pandemic, if or epidemic, maybe it is due to some kind of geopolitical issues such as wars, etc. But with sustainable procurement, you would be in a better position to face such supply chain disruptions. So how we will be in that position, that also we are going to discuss. I'll move to the next slide. So life cycle. So here we had spoken earlier that sustainable procurement focuses on these three pillars across the entire life cycle of goods and service. So procurement starts with basically focusing on cost, right? We first negotiate the cost, we estimate the cost while we are designing, then we negotiate with the suppliers for the cost, and then based on the cost, we award the contracts. And then after the contracts are awarded, we have to raise purchase order for material. And then once the invoices are generated and the material is delivered by the supplier, we have to release their bills. We have to pay them, right? So it is revolving around costs. So as sustainable procurement, we have to focus on the entire life cycle costs. So what is covered under entire life cycle costs? So if you see on the left top diagram, which gives an overview of the life cycle costs, this is the current part in which the regular procurement or the routine procurement that we see focuses on. It only focuses on the price, that is the purchasing price of any raw material or any part that they are procuring. But if we see, if we add the acquisition cost, the uses cost to it, or end of life costs, as an organization, if we are not able to sell that product, we have to maintain it to till its shelf life is there, right? So in our inventory, so that if we add that cost, it becomes the total cost of ownership. So that is borne by the organization. You as an organization will borne this cost of ownership. Then we add the cost or benefits of risk or opportunities. So whenever you are in the possession of any particular good, there are risks and opportunities associated with it, right? So what are the risks? That you are not able to sell that product. It remains at your place and it gets expired. Consider the case of FMCG. Um, Industry, that you have certain finished goods in your inventory which have a limited shelf life of maybe 3 months or 6 months. So if within those 3 or 6 months you are not able to sell that, what is going to happen to them? They are going to expire. So that is a risk that you are carrying when you carry any inventory, right? So on the expiry, you cannot do anything. You have to discard it. So there are costs associated with that also. And what are the benefits of such or opportunities of these kind of situations is that if there is any sudden order and the other your competitors are not able to fill it, that gap, you are in a better position to capitalize on that opportunity, right? You can ask for a little bit of premium on top of your actual costs, right? So that gives you an opportunity. So this uh, area which is under a dashed square, that is the cost associated, or which is your organization is only exposed to that amount of cost. And then The life cycle cost is the when we add the in this cost, we add the cost of externalities, environmental or social. So once that product goes out of your factory, what are the different costs associated to that particular life cycle phase of the product? So the energy that is going to be used for consumption of that product. So if you are using, if you are selling, let us say, a ceiling fan. So if a customer has to use your ceiling fan, he has to get it installed. The installation cost is required for that. He has to run that using electricity. So electricity is getting consumed during every use of that particular product. So that is, and once he is not able to use it, if suppose he wants to change the product or he is no longer able to use it, or the life of the product is over and it is beyond repair now and it has to be discarded, what he does is he has to take it out again and dispose it off, either scrap it or just send it in trash, right? So there are costs associated to it, that life cycle also. So those will come under the total umbrella of life cycle costs. And then there are also some non-monetized externalities, which are the impacts of which are not directly monetized, such as if you have any air pollution being generated because of your product usage, if there is any soil pollution because of your product, whenever it is discarded or being used, that is non-monetized, right? There are no direct costs you see because of that, but eventually that is going to happen. It is the impact is going to happen to the environment, to the society because of those things happening because of your product, right? So those are coming in the top square. So the area outside the dashed square, the society is going to bear that cost. Your customer is going to bear that cost. So whenever we say life cycle costs, we have to take in account in all these costs while making any procurement related decision. So as we see on the right side, you see an iceberg image which depicts what are the amount of these costs, what is the bifurcation in general sense for of different type of costs in a life cycle of a product. So you see purchasing of a product, purchase related cost is the tip of the iceberg, but operation, service and maintenance, the environmental impact of that particular product uses or while it was being made or manufactured, and decommissioning of that product, meaning disposal or recycling of that product, also has a lot of costs associated with it. The below two diagrams give kind of an overview of what kind of percentage life cycle costs do each of these life cycles have. So if you see on the right side, this is a generic bifurcation. It may differ based on product to product, but if we see the production cost or the initial cost of that particular product is 10% of the total life cycle cost. 50% of the cost is the only related to energy, the energy that is being either consumed by your product or that has been used for either your manufacturing, getting that product from one place to another, then the customer is using your product, then some energy gets utilized, then the customer is again disposing that product, either it gets recycled or has been dumped in any landfill or something. So you see 50% of the cost on an average is related only to energy. Then you have 5% of maintenance cost, maybe 10% of operations. And this is just a generic representation. It may vary from product to product, but it gives us a nice overview that the initial cost or the price that we were focusing currently as a routine procurement function, it is only the around 10% of the total life cycle cost of the product. So why as sustainable procurement, we have to focus on the entire life cycle and why it is important? Because if we only look at the price of the current price that is there of the product or the part, and it is just 10% of the total cost. Imagine the impact that is going to have if we are able to reduce these other impacts. So energy costs. So if we are, how can we um, reduce that? We can ask for a low energy consumption device. So that our percentage of energy costs get reduced. How do we reduce the maintenance costs? So that we ask for some um, we ask or design for some products which are which will fail less. So what will it impact in that the products that we have are of higher quality. They are less prone to failures. That means the maintenance costs will be reduced. What are the environmental cost? How can we reduce that? So we ask for that. Okay, we need like in the earlier session we had discussed about BS6 compliance as a regulation that automobile motorcycle manufacturers have to comply, or automobile manufacturers have to comply to, right? So we also enforce such kind of regulations on our customers, on our suppliers. We cannot force our customers, but we can ask or we can approach them that, okay, please use these kind of, follow these regulations, etc. Whichever are mandatory, those you will definitely have to follow. Even your suppliers also have to follow. But but the initiatives that you are going to take up for making your supply chain sustainable, those you will have to first engage with them. You will have to convince them that why this is important, why do we have to be sustainable, etc. Right? So we focus as procurement on. So we have to consider all these life cycle costs also while we take any decision related to procurement. So there are some principles of sustainable procurement, which we will go through, such as accountability. So the organization should take responsibility for their procurement decisions and supply chain impacts. So if an organization wants to move towards sustainable supply chain, they want to transform their existing supply chain using some kind of sustainability frameworks or guidelines and make it a sustainable supply chain. First, it starts with accountability. Organizations, we we as the employees of the organizations have to take responsibility for the procurement decision and the supply chain impact that it is going to have. Then transparency. Procurement decisions should be open, traceable, and encourage supply disclosure. So, how transparency has to be imbibed in a sustainable procurement, because we want to ensure that our suppliers are using environmentally friendly sources for their raw materials. They are using, they are also sourcing and they are following ethical labor laws, ethical labor relations, etc. They are following fair trade practices. So for that, transparency is required. If because we also should be aware of what our suppliers are doing, what our distributors are doing. So that is the transparency principle. Then ethical behavior, promoting fairness and integrity throughout the supply chain. So that is the responsibility of procurement function. Because the complete supply chain, as we already discussed, is being driven by the procurement function of you as a manufacturer of goods, right? Full and fair opportunity, ensuring equal access for suppliers, including SMEs. So that is be following ethical or fair trade practices, ethical labor law practices. If we are following, that is following the principle of full and fair opportunity. Then stakeholder interest, addressing the concerns of employees, communities, regulatory. So sustainability, when we see social sustainability was one of the pillars of sustainability. So how we are impacting the community around us, how we as a manufacturer, our facility is also impacting the surrounding environment. So if there are any concerns related to that, we need to address that using the principles of this principle of sustainable procurement. Then rule of law. We have to follow compliance. We have to ensure that compliance with legal frameworks and international norms is there. Respect for human rights, upholding labor rights, safe working conditions, and fair wages. Then innovation, encouraging sustainable products and process improvements. So the start of any product design, if it is following some sustainable product development process, that will encourage us to, develop a sustainable procurement or a sustainable supply chain around that product development. Then focus on needs, avoiding over purchasing and opting for greener alternatives. Integration, embedding sustainability into all procurement activities. Cost analysis, evaluating life cycle costs, which we discussed in the earlier slides, and the sustainability benefits of whatever activities that we are doing. Then continuous improvement, evolving processes for long-term sustainability. These are some of the principles of sustainable procurement, which we have to imbibe and follow if you want to transform our current procurement function into sustainable procurement. There are some core subjects or topics under sustainable procurement, which we have to look at individually or focus on them while we are making our sustainable procurement policies or our contracts, etc., with the suppliers, which focus on these sustainable principles, which we discussed earlier. So organizational governance, so ethical decision making in procurement. So we have to focus on ethics, morals, values while we are making any type of decision in procurement. You must have come across many case studies based on procurement or purchasing of goods or tender award being given to suppliers who are not qualified, who have uh, unethical trade practices, who have unethical um, wage policies. They sometimes you see in the news that some kind of scam was there. The vendor to which this order was given was not fit for that particular tender, etc. But still it was given. So that is some part of unethical decision making. So in sustainable procurement, we have to ensure that ethical decision making is imbibed in your organizational governance structure. Then human rights, preventing labor exploitation and discrimination, whether it is at your facility, at your manufacturing facility, at your warehousing facility, at your distributor facility, at your retailer with which you are having any contracts for to sell your product, your suppliers from which you are buying, and even your tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, who are the suppliers of your primary suppliers. That kind of visibility also you need to have so that you do not get associated with any kind of labor exploitation happening, any kind of discrimination happening, because that is going to also create a kind of complicity because you had indirect relationships with that supplier, and that is not going to help you achieve your sustainability goals. Labor practices, ensuring safe, fair, and equitable workplaces, similarly across the supply chain which you are driving. Environmental impact, reducing pollution, whether it is air, soil, or any kind type of pollution. Resources use and carbon footprint. So efficient use of resources, reducing waste throughout the supply chain, so that the resources we are using are, you know, uh, only to the level that is required and they are not wasted. Because why we are going towards sustainable procurement? Because we want these resources to be available for our future generations. We have limited water, we have limited food in this particular world. We have limited capacity of this soil. We do not want to exploit it just because we can. So, but we have a limited amount of forest cover, which we do not want to use up, right? Because it is leading to climate change. It is leading to different kinds of issues around the world, and it is definitely going to be a very big issue for our future generations. That's why sustainability is in focus in each and every industry, and for us also, it is very important as individuals. Fair operating practices, promoting anti-corruption, fair competition and compliance. This is also part of sustainable procurement because we are going to raise purchase orders. We are going to uh, get into contracts formal contracts with our supplier, with our distributors, right, through the procurement function. So it is our primary responsibility that we promote this fair operating practices. Then consumer protection, ensuring product safety, data privacy, and sustainable consumption of our products. And community development, investing in local economies and social initiatives as a sustainable procurement function, because procurement as a function is there across industries. Like there are thousands and thousands of communities that we are impacting as a procurement function. So we are aware of who our suppliers are. We are aware of who our distributors are. Also, we can take up some social initiatives through the network, the supply chain network that we have, because we have the more we as operations will have the most visibility of our supply chain. Then, okay, yes, what are the principles we have discussed? What are the different topics or subjects are under it we have discussed? But what are the drivers of sustainable procurement? Why do organizations adopt sustainable procurement? Customer expectations, meeting consumer demands for sustainability. So as we see, the demand for sustainable products is increasing day by day. Customers themselves want to be associated with brands who are uh, more sustainable, who care about the nature, who care about the society. In the earlier session, we had taken an example of Tata's. How, what is the brand image of Tata's in our mind? What is the value of Tata's in India? It is just because of their sustainability focus on societal developments, their initiatives towards environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, etc. Then competitive advantage, differentiating from the competitors is definitely a driver for sustainable procurement. Innovation, encouraging green product development, that is a driver for sustainable procurement. Stakeholder pressure, addressing investor, employee regulatory concerns, legal and regulatory compliance. Definitely, there are new policies, new regulations, new compliance requirements coming each day, which are related to environment, which are related to labor laws. So for that, if we have to follow those, they are pushing us towards making our procurement of sustainable procurement function. Risk management, definitely through sustainable procurement, we'll be able to reduce supply chain disruptions and reputational risk. Or if we are not able to reduce supply chain disruptions, we'll be in a better position to face them or to tackle the challenges arising because of supply chain disruptions. Security of supply, ensuring long-term material and energy availability. Because of low energy consumption, we are ensuring that more resources are available for use in future. Investor confidence, attracting sustainable investment, employee engagement, boosting morale and productivity, because employees will be engaged more on with our sustainability initiatives, because um, it is doing good. It is like something doing something good for the society, for the environment, which is definitely going to your employees, benefit your employees, right? Because employees are also part of the community, which you are directly or indirectly affecting. So you are directly affecting them because you are paying them the fair wages. You are affecting them directly because you are having fair trade practices. You are directly impacting them because you are having safe workplace environment for them to work in, right? So that is direct impact, and indirectly you are reducing this pollution, you are reducing the energy consumption, so that for their future generation also you are trying to work, you are trying to be sustainable, which is going to impact your employee future generation also. So that's why they are more engaged, and that is also used as a tool for increasing employee engagement. Indirectly, it will help you increase your employee engagement also. Supplier commitment, strengthening partnership with responsible suppliers. So if we want to be sustainable as a procurement function, or if we want our supply chain to be sustainable, who is going to partner with us or who is going to help us achieve that? Our suppliers, naturally. We need supplier commitment. And for that, we need to have better partnerships with them. rather than just having transactional partnerships of selling and buying. We need to engage more with them. We need to collaborate with them in order to be sustainable together. Then cost optimization. It is reducing waste and improving efficiency. Through the process of sustainable procurement, we are going to reduce waste. Either it is in decision making process, either it is reanalyzing the life cycle cost, and then doing kind of a value stream analysis with the supplier, and then reducing waste, reducing costs associated with that, and improving efficiency in the complete life cycle of the project, any product. Ethical leadership, aligning business with sustainability values. That is also a driver for sustainable procurement. Then there are some key considerations in sustainable procurement. It means that if you want to go move towards sustainable procurement, there are some areas which you have to address. There are some critical factors which you must address um, for a sustainable supply chain. So first is risk management. So we need to identify and mitigate sustainability related risks. So how we will identify? We will have to conduct the life cycle assessment first to understand what are the risks which are related to sustainability, which we already have in our supply chain. And then we take some actions on mitigating them. Due diligence. What is due diligence? It is following the process. Whatever we have set, the process that we have set under sustainable procurement, whatever policies we have set, we need to follow them diligently. We have to ensure that an ethical sourcing is there and supplier compliance is there. As a part of initiative, we might take some decisions, we might do some changes in our policies, but implementing them and following them diligently, that is a critical factor which we must address. Prioritization of issues, focusing on high impact sustainability concerns. So during the discussion of life cycle assessment, we saw that once we do the life cycle assessment, it will give you some hotspots related to sustainability, like in which life cycle I am generating more pollutants, in which life cycle the product is consuming the most amount of energy. Those are some of the high impact sustainability areas, right? So though we have to prioritize them accordingly, or while considering sustainable procurement also, so that whenever we address those issues, we have the maximum impact. Then supplier influence, encouraging responsible supplier behavior. So as we earlier spoke, that suppliers are your direct partners. So we have to encourage them towards, having a responsible supplier behavior. Whatever we are asking them like we are asking them to source ethically, we are asking them to comply with some of our agreements, some of our sustainability related terms and conditions in our contract. So we have to encourage that behavior on this from the supplier side also, and avoid complicity, preventing indirect involvement in unethical practices. So we briefly touched upon complicity earlier, but we will also discuss in the upcoming slides how we can avoid complicity. Now, managing risks in sustainable procurement. We briefly touched upon what are the risks, etc. But we can follow this short risk management process in procurement, like identify and assess sustainability risks. So what are the sustainability related risks whenever I'm doing any kind of procurement activity? So like if I'm selecting a new supplier, what are the risks related to environmental aspects because of this supplier, or whatever kind of facilities this supplier has, whatever kind of manufacturing processes that this particular supplier has, what are the equipments that they are using, and what are the environmental risks related to those particular equipment uses. What are the social risks associated with this particular supplier? What are the economics risks, sustainability risks related to this supplier? So like what are the wage structure? Is it fair or not? How are the working conditions for the laborers? Or their human resources in their facilities, are they safe or not? What is the level of safety, organizational safety. What are the standards, policies that they are following? Is it complying to the regulations or not? Are they following the labor laws or not, etc.? Those are some kind of risks which we want to identify and assess whenever we start this risk management process for any new initiative or any new engagement with a supplier. Then we prioritize the high impact risks out of the total list, and then we implement mitigation strategies such as supplier audits, compliance checks, etc., which are focusing on the sustainable risk related risks also. So you may already be aware about these supplier audits, compliance checks, because you as there are already some standards which are asking for supplier audits, compliance checks, etc. But they are not focusing on sustainability aspects 100% yet, right? So whenever we are taking up any sustainability related initiative, so we have to make sure that those are part of our contracts. And then, according to those terms and conditions or those requirements, um, mo- um, we have to add them in our supplier audit process also, in our compliance checks also, right? And throughout the life cycle, or whenever whatever time we are engaged, we are being engaged with that particular supplier, the contract period that we have with that supplier or any other stakeholder, we have to monitor and improve these sustainability practices continuously. So risk management, as you already might know, is a continuous process. It it is never ending because new type of risks are always generated whenever you do any kind of process change. You engage with any new supplier. There are new types of risk coming, right? So risk management process is a never ending process. It goes on and on. You are continuously monitoring, you are continuously identifying new risks, then you do an impact analysis, then you, if it is a high impact risk, you do the mitigation strategy for that. What are the some kind of procurement risks, some of which we already discussed, where a supplier violating labor laws, that is a procurement risk. How does it affect you as a manufacturer? Because if he is violating labor laws, the local governing body who is enforcing those labor laws can close his shop, can close his operations, and what is going to be the impact? Your operations is going to get shut because of that, because he can no longer supply you. So that is a disruption for you. Then environmental damage due to sourcing practices, that is a procurement risk. Non-compliance with sustainability certificates, like your supplier not following the regulations, not following the compliance requirements. Disruptions in ethical supply chain. So these are some of the examples of procurement risks. Now, how do we address sustainability impact? So how organizations can contribute to negative impacts of the supply chain. Unethical supplier practice, as we earlier saw, which was a risk, resource depletion, environmental damage, poor waste management, and product disposal. So these are the negative impacts either on environment or on the economic aspects of the society, or on the social, or in directly society itself, yeah, under the three pillars. Those are the negative impacts that our supply chain is going to have. So how we mitigate those? We implement due diligence in supplier selection, which we already discussed about. We set clear sustainability criteria for vendors. So that also we spoke about, that having sustainability related terms and conditions, some parameters in your design, some parameters in your contract, some parameters in your agreements, which are related to your sustainability goals. Those should be set clearly. You monitor compliance, you can use third-party audits, or even you can do audits yourself, and you invest in supplier training on sustainability, because you are the driver of your supply chain, right? You being the manufacturer of this part, you are going to order the part towards your supplier side. You are going to supply that part to your customer, right? So you are the driver of the supply chain of that particular product or goods or service. So it is your responsibility. If you want to make that supply chain sustainable, then you have to invest in the complete supply chain. You have to collaborate with each partner or each key character in that particular supply chain. If you want, so that you may have to train them, You have to enable them with resources so that they can become more sustainable in their operation, right? So individually, if everybody becomes sustainable, then only the overall supply chain is going to become sustainable, right? So we have to invest in supplier training on sustainability. Then how to set up priorities. So yes, we want to transform our current procurement into sustainable procurement, but how to prioritize whatever issues we saw. So first we have to see the relevance of the issues, whether those are relevant to your sustainability goals or not. Because sustainability goals are going to be decided on an organization level. They will not any kind of sustainability initiatives. Procurement is not going to start it. As an organization, you decide first what are your sustainability goals. Like if you take British Petroleum, getting net zero by 2025 or 2030 is their organizational goal. We saw for Tesla in the earlier sessions example that they had a carbon neutral sustainability goal for their complete operations in by 2030. So those are organizational level sustainability goals. So we have to align procurement level goals also with these sustainability goals of the organization. So whatever issues that we see, if they are relevant to our goals, we have to align them with them. Why do we have to align with them? Because there are going to be some initiatives which we have to also take up as a procurement function, and those are going to require an approval from our management. They are also going to need some kind of budget, some kind of funding. So if you want to train our supplier for any sustainability initiatives, definitely if we are the experts in that, we will conduct it ourselves. But definitely that is going to require the investment of time, your own resources. If we hire any some third party compliance consultants who are able to help us with this kind of sustainability initiatives, that is going to require some kind of investment, some kind of costs. So that is why you have to align with the sustainability goals of the organization to get their approval. Then significance. We have to identify the highest impact areas. Whatever sustainability issues we are going to address, those need to be of the highest impact area. We need, because we are going to invest something in that, they should have the highest impact. Then compliance and best practices. If we identify certain kind of sustainability issues which are related to legal and ethical alignment, maybe our suppliers are not following the legal framework, laws or regulations, those automatically become your priority because they are going to have a direct impact, a negative impact on your operations. If their supplier operations are shut because of legal issues. Then cost and effort analysis, you have to balance feasibility with sustainability impact. So your highest impact may be some particular like being net zero or something, but you are not in a position currently to invest that much. So cost and effort analysis you have to do whether we are in a position to um, uh, invest this much amount. Do we have the resources to invest in these many efforts for this particular initiative, because these are on top of your day-to-day operations. We as a business also have to survive. We also have to perform our day-to-day activities. We also have to source products. Also have to we also have to process them. We have to make goods. We have to supply goods to our distributors and to our customers. So that is our day-to-day operations. On top of it, we are doing this sustainability initiatives, right? So that we have to balance that our operations, day-to-day operations also do not get disrupted because of this activity. Then stakeholder concerns, if yeah, your employees, customers, regulations, what is the level of engagement do they have? What is the level of concern that they have? Those will also help you. Understanding those will also help you in prioritizing sustainability issues. Then influencing sustainable supply chains. So as we spoke earlier, you are the driver of your supply chain and you have to influence all the players of that supply chain. So you will start naturally with your suppliers. So there are different ways you can directly control the supplier by setting sustainability clauses in your contracts and agreements. You can collaborate with your industry peers to enforce some kind of standards. You see, there are industry peers, there are industry level organizations like FICCI is there in India. There are different individual in industry specific organizations also, um, which are made up of a group of uh, manufacturers. So you can collaborate with your competitors, your industry peers also, to enforce some kind of standards, some kind of guidelines. Then you can also engage with the governments for policy making, for updating the regulations for sustainable supply chain. You can have incentives. You can reward your suppliers who are meeting your sustainability goals, so that that kind of a culture, a positive culture towards achieving sustainability goals is also formed in your supply chain. And capacity building, definitely providing training on eco-friendly practices. You have you just it is if you want to make your supply chain sustainable, it is not just going to be over with you asking your suppliers to be sustainable. You are just enforcing some kind of clauses in your contract and just pushing them towards your supplier. That is not just the end of it. You have to, as the driver of the supply chain, you have to enable them. You have to provide training, you have to provide them resources, you have to collaborate with them, you have to work with them as partners so that they can also transform their supply chain or their operations into or their procurement into a sustainable. So this is how you, these are some ways you can influence sustainable supply chains. Then the most important parameter is also measuring and improving sustainable procurement performance. We are taking some initiatives. There are some organizational level sustainability goals given to us, but day-to-day operations of that um, implementation of that sustainability initiative, we also need to make sure that we are on track on achieving those sustainability goals, right? Like we check, why, like we keep a check using various metrics and indicators for achieving our operational goals in our day-to-day operations. There are various KPIs, etc. Similarly, we will also have some metrics and indicators for measuring and improving the sustainable procurement performance also. So for that, we have to establish baseline. We have to establish sustainability goals and KPIs. We have to monitor, assess, and improve those procurement practices. And why? How we do it? We do both qualitative and quantitative measures. Like surveys, feedbacks will be qualitative. We actually do measure some data. We actually measure some kind of emissions. We audit the supplier and generate qualitative data. There are different type of indicators which you can have, like process indicators, which will give you uh, a visibility on the progress in sustainability policies. There could be output indicators, which are direct results of your procurement activities. Like if you want to reduce energy uses, if you want to reduce costs, etc., you want to use reduced wasted resources, etc. Those are your output indicators, which will give you direct results. Then also there are some kind of indicators like business performance improvements, which we also saw was an output of sustainable supply chain. So those are indicators of which you can measure and analyze. And then impact indicators, broader economic, environmental, and social impacts. Those also you can have as indicators. Then reporting. So if we are taking up all these initiatives with our supplier or our partners, and then we are enforcing them through having them in your contracts and through, and then also we are measuring through various kinds of indicators and KPIs, right? So this data we have to regularly report. We have to report it to external stakeholders in form of annual reports, in form of sustainability reports. We have to report it as a procurement function to our organization's top management. So top management report will summarize the progress on key initiatives, dashboards. So we had seen that the sustainability goals will be organizational wide, right? So whatever initiatives you as procurement function is taking, how that is contributing to the organizational level goal, that has to be reported to your organization's top management. So the report will include those kinds of details. There is some kind of reporting also required on procurement function, which is specific initiatives that you are taking for sustainability. There are if you can also form some kind of supplier dashboards, so that you have a visual management tool available for managing these sustainability initiatives with your suppliers. And then with suppliers, and or even if you're with your contracts also, you need to generate some kind of reports such as your supplier performance reviews, your contracts KPIs, etc. What are some of the best practices in reporting? Transparency in reporting positive and negative results. So any initiative that you take, whether it is related to sustainability or your day-to-day routine operational activities also, like in day-to-day operations, we always want to reduce our costs. So if we have taken an company-wide initiative of reducing our product cost by or supplier cost by maybe 5% or so, and if we are not able to achieve it, we have to report that also. We should not hide data. Transparency in reporting means we show whatever that is there, whether it is positive or negative, we have to report that. Because if we are reporting only positives, then it is good. But if we are hiding data, then that becomes unethical, which is not a principle of sustainable procurement. And we will only be able to hide it for some time, but it is going to have its impact. And in the near future, it is going to hit you back. You cannot hide negative data for a longer time. Then one best practice in reporting is consistency across reporting periods. So for external stakeholders, we saw that it was annual. For organizational top management, it may be quarterly. So that consistency should be there, and also a continuous data flow should also be there. So each report should also have data on what was the level on last 3 quarters or something like that, so that there is consistency in the reporting periods. It should not be like that you publish reports for 2 months, then after 4 months, then after 6 months. It should not be in that way, because then you will not, whoever is reading your report, they will not be able to compare the two reports. Then data accuracy and reliability. And the report should be clear and jargon free. Benchmarking is one of the tools that we can use in towards making sustainable procurement. So what is benchmarking? It is comparing procurement sustainability practices with industry peers. We learn from the best-in-class organizations. So as I have already given you examples of Tesla, Unilever, and IKEA. So you can also find out who are the best in-class organizations in terms of sustainability practices and try to learn from them. The benefits is you identify strengths and gaps in sustainability performance, stay updated on industry trends, and align procurement strategy with global standards. There are challenges of risk of misalignment with organizational priorities, and focus may shift away from critical sustainability issues. So misalignment with organizational priority is because your sustainability goals are, as we spoke, were decided on an organizational level, but your industry trends is asking you for something else. So there is a risk of misalignment, and which may end up having focus getting shifted from critical sustainability issues. So those are some challenges. Then we spoke about complicity earlier. So how to avoid complicity in unethical procurement is there are three forms of basic procurement complicity. Direct complicity is that you are actively engaging in unethical practices. So either you yourself are engaged in unethical practices, or your supplier is doing or practicing something unethical. You are aware of that, but still you are not doing anything. And then if you are gaining from those unethical supplier activities, it becomes beneficial complicity. And silent complicity is ignoring the known sustainability violations. So a direct complicity is you yourself are asking the supplier to engage into unethical practices, and silent complicity is that you know that your supplier is engaged in unethical practices, but you are not doing anything about it. How to avoid this complicity? You conduct regular supplier audits, you establish strict ethical sourcing policies, you engage in transparent reporting on procurement practices, and you terminate contracts with non-compliant suppliers. You have to be hard on your suppliers, on yourself as well, because unethical procurement practices, how dangerous they can be, you all are aware. The regulatory bodies can shut your shop if the customers when can stop buying from you if you are engaged in unethical practices, and your business will face huge disruptions. Your brand reputation will decrease like anything, and it may end up turning the closure of the company. So it is very important that we are aware of unethical procurement practices, and we are always on or our toes to see that we are also not engaged in such activities, and nor are our suppliers or partners in our supply chain. Okay, so that was our topic 3 of sustainable procurement. Now we will start with our topic 4, which is understanding sustainable manufacturing and its impact on productivity. So procurement, as we saw, was the first topic um, discussed under sustainable supply chain, because procurement is the main driver of any supply chain, because and it is also directly engaging and has more visibility with other partners in your supply chain. So your supplier side also, your customer side also, they will be more in contact with your procurement function. That's why the first topic that we took was procurement, and they will be the major drivers of these sustainable practices throughout the supply chain. Now the next important factor or function would be manufacturing, because you are the manufacturer, and this manufacturing focuses on you having your raw material getting in your factory, processing it and taking it out. So whatever kind of manufacturing practices that you have, are they sustainable, or can we transform them into sustainable manufacturing practices? That is something which we want to understand. And by making them sustainable, what is the impact that it is going to have on our productivity? That is also something which we will try to understand or discuss through this discussion. So what is sustainable manufacturing? It is the process of producing goods in ways that minimize environmental impact, optimize resource use, and ensure economic viability while prioritizing social responsibility. So this is again the three manufacturing, revolving, and assessing the impact on the three pillars of sustainability, which is environmental impact, economic viability, and prioritizing social responsibility. So sustainable supply chain was based on the three pillars. Sustainable manufacturing is also surrounding those three pillars only. White matters, sustainability matters. That is why manufacturing also needs to be sustainable, because of the global demand of sustainability due to climate change, regulatory pressures from reducing carbon footprints, consumer preference for eco-friendly products, etc. And when we speak about sustainable manufacturing, there are some key focus areas. So first is energy efficiency, using renewable energy, reducing power consumption, etc., while we are manufacturing the product. So the focus of this topic is not the whole supply chain now. The procurement function is we have discussed. Now we only have to discuss on the manufacturing function or the operations of our factory, or the operations of our supplier, or the operations of our um, distributor warehouse maybe. So we only focus on the manufacturing function or the operation function in this topic. So energy efficiency. So using renewable energy. So whatever energy that we are using while we are performing our operations. We are conducting our day-to-day activities. We are processing. We have lights in our facilities, operations facilities. We have air conditioning our facilities, right? We are using some kind of transport facilities for our human resources or our laborers, from getting them from our from their homes to the factory and again to home. Like we have cabs, we have buses, right? So we whatever type of energy we are using, we try to um, analyze them first as a part of sustainability initiative. We analyze them and then try to use more and more renewable energy. We want to reduce power consumption in our facility while we are performing our operation, day-to-day operation. Then waste reduction. So reusing, recycling, and remanufacturing. These are the three R's which are discussed, and most prominently, you might have heard them in green manufacturing. So what is reusing? We want to reuse the resources which are being used, which were used for making a product. So either whether water is required for some kind of processing of our raw material. So can we reuse it after the water that was that we are just labeling as wastewater and putting in the sewers, or can we treat it again and reuse it? Recycling. We will have a lot of waste getting generated in our factory while we are processing our raw material. So that can we recycle that? And remanufacturing. Remanufacturing is something, a practice that the products, once they are sold to the customers after their usage is completed, let us say the life is over, they are going to dispose it off. Either they will scrap it or it will go to landfills. But we as manufacturers, can we take them back? The products which are used or of no longer used to the suppliers or to the customers, can we remanufacture them? Can we scavenge them for some of the parts? Can we still use some parts from that? Can we recycle that? That will come under remanufacturing. So that is a focus area of kind under waste reduction. Then sustainable materials, biodegradable, non-toxic, and responsibly sourced materials we want to use for our operations. For our operations, other than the raw material, we also are going to be in requirement of many other resources which we procure. So we will be procuring packing material in our operations. We'll be procuring our equipments which are going to help us process the raw material. So we want to ensure that the material that is there in these particular parts or components, that is sustainable. So the packaging, can it be biodegradable? Is it non-toxic? Are the equipments that we have sourced, are those responsibly sourced or not? That way we can have this as a focus area. And then worker well-being. The topmost focus area we can say is worker well-being. If we want to focus on sustainability, we want to focus on worker well-being. So how do we focus on worker well-being? We have a safe working environment. We have safe working conditions, which are focusing on the employee well-being, employee safety. While they are working, is the environment safe? Do they have all the required safety gear or not? Are they trained on the hazardous situation that may arise around? Are they trained on safety protocols or not, etc.? That we have to ensure and focus. Fair wages and ethical labor. So ethical labor will involve sourcing labor ethically also. That you are not discriminating amongst your community while you are selecting or having contract with them, etc. So labor well-being is also one of the most important focus area, I would say. Then what are the key principles of sustainable manufacturing? Resource efficiency, minimize energy, water, and material use, which we already discussed. Waste reduction, implement circular economic principle. reuse, recycle, remanufacture is part of circular economy principle, which is also under the umbrella of green manufacturing practices. Then eco-friendly materials, we spoke about using sustainable raw materials, etc. Energy efficiency also we discussed that incorporate renewable energy resources. That like if you are dependent on your local utility power supply or electrical energy provider, can you install some form of solar panels on your factory facility area, or can you install some manufacturers have their own windmills installed in their facility or installed in some areas which are favorable for windmill, but they operate and they manage it themselves. So that is incorporating renewable energy resources. Worker well-being, we have discussed prioritizing employee health and safety, and then life cycle thinking. So life cycle thinking or life cycle cost we have discussed as part of procurement, sustainable procurement, right? So in while going towards sustainable manufacturing, also we have to think about the life cycle of that particular product that we are making, because while it is being processed, while it is being manufactured, the raw material or the semi-finished good or the product, finished product is in your view or in your focus area or in your possession currently as manufacturing function or as operations function, right? That is in your facility. So while it is at that facility, you have to consider the environmental impact in those phases of raw material getting in your factory, then you are doing some kind of process on that, and then the final product getting emerged out of it. So you have to check on the environmental impact. You have to consider, you have to think about the life cycle of this particular phase of the product. Okay. So what are the some of the strategies for achieving sustainable manufacturing? So lean manufacturing. Lean manufacturing we have you must always already be aware of because all of you are logistics and supply chain specialization students. So lean is an operational improvement approach which is focusing on minimizing waste and optimizing process flow. So there are various principles of lean you might be aware of. There are various practices which Lean also uh, asks you to imbibe 5S. It is standardizing the process, set in order, sort, standardize, etc. And then you have VSM, which is value stream mapping. So you define value, then map the value flow, then you reduce waste, and then you optimize again. It is the PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act cycle philosophy, that you continuously identify waste, try to reduce it, again analyze your process, try to find waste and optimize your process. So that is one strategy which will help you achieve sustainable manufacturing. Green supply chain management. So source materials from sustainable vendors. That is one strategy. Eco design. So design products with environmental impact in mind. So why, how it is going to impact sustainable manufacturing? Because if the products are considered or designed in such a way using sustainable practices, you will have to uh, the products are going to need some kind of assembly also, which is going to happen in your facility. So that will come under manufacturing. So while designing the products, if uh, you might have heard about design for manufacturing, design for assembly, right? So if it is designed for sustainable manufacturing, if it is designed for sustainable assembly, naturally, while assembling, you are going to use less energy. You are going to use less resources, right? You are going to generate less pollutants or some kind of negative impact will be reduced. So that is that will be covered under part of eco design. That is also one of the strategy. So where you as a manufacturing or operations function will collaborate with the design and development function for the eco design process. Then renewable energy use, we have discussed this, that can you use solar energy, can you use wind or other forms of clean energy sources for your operations, for your manufacturing facilities. Then circular economy practices. Extend the product life cycle through remanufacturing. So we briefly discussed this earlier, that product life cycle is something which we have to consider if we want to move towards sustainable supply chain. So what can we think about circular economy is, it is first is remanufacture. Can you take your part as it is, and can you scavenge it for parts, maybe repair those parts and again use it in your new production? Or if you are not in a position to do that, can you yourself take the opportunity to recycle them? Like you develop some sources uh, who have environmental practices to recycle that particular product. Or can you design and develop new products based on these return products? Can you develop some new supply chain or new market for such kind of refurbished products? Many capital products, if you see, which are very uh, highly capital intensive. So if you, I am not sure if you are aware, healthcare equipment such as CT scan machines, MRI machines, your radioactive radiation therapy machines, which are used for cancer care products also, they are very costly. They will cost you in India, if you have to purchase a good quality CT scanner or a top end CT scanner, it may cost you around 6 to 10 crores of rupees. MRI machine of a good company will cost you on an average from 5 to 10 crores. And if you want to purchase a radiation therapy machine, which is a LINAC or something, on an average, it is going to cost you 25 to 40 crores. So if you are investing so much, and that means for manufacturing that also a huge cost was required. So if we develop a circular economy around this particular product, uh, definitely we can save a lot of resources, which will reduce the requirement of a new product and which will help us serve a larger market, which cannot afford this kind of um, cost, right? So if we develop a refurbished market, a refurbished economy around these products, or in your product life cycle, you can also serve more and more community members who actually could not afford it earlier, but now they can, because refurbished products are going to cost less. So they can now be afforded by the society components who were not in position to, earlier, to get access to it. So that is also a part of sustainability, because social sustainability is one of the pillars. Economic sustainability is one of the pillars. So that way also circular economy is going to help you achieve sustainability. Then technology integration. If you want to become sustainable, we all these strategies, if we are using technology, they will help us achieve our initiatives faster. Using IoT will enable you to get more and more data, more and more visibility across your operations. Using AI and automation for resource optimization. So how can we use AI? We can use AI for data analytics. We can use AI for decision making for some of the processes for operations in your operations, that AI can help you with, and it will also help you with faster decision making, and it will also assist you in decision making. If you do not want to push the or you cannot if you do not want to give the responsibility 100% to AI, but you can definitely use AI to assist you taking some informed decisions which are based on the data-driven analysis. And then automation, as we already know, if you I want to implement lean manufacturing and if I want to optimize process, automation can easily help you achieve that. But how you are integrating the technology, whether it is really because of your initiative towards achieving sustainability goals or not, or is it just because there is a trend of AI now going in the industry? There is a trend of automation, Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0 that you want to catch up with, or should be very carefully looked upon. Because whenever we use any new kind of technology or integrate any new kind of technology, we have to be very aware about whether it is just some kind of fad that I'm getting inspired by or motivated by, or because what happens is AI and automation, sometimes a huge investment is required for integrating these kinds of technologies. And if you do not know why that particular integration you are doing, if it is not crystal clear to you on how you want to use it and how it is going to benefit it and how you are going to recover the cost, then it becomes very difficult, because integrating these technologies is not an overnight activity. This initiative itself is going to take a considerable amount of time, a considerable amount of cost, a considerable amount of resource, who are going to invest a considerable amount of efforts. So once you start that initiative, you start working on that. In the period of maybe 6 to 8 months, you should not feel you should not be in a position on why did we actually start this initiative. This is not at all helping us, and we do not have the expertise, we do not have the required skills, and it may end up being a failed integration. So we should always be aware and on our toes whenever technology integration is coming in place, because we do not have so AI definitely has power, but different case studies will have different levels of integrations required. They will have different levels of challenges required, right? So though that much percolation of AI is not there. Automation, we can definitely say that with industry 4.0, the penetration of uses of automation in operations is proven. I do not need to think about that. Okay, if I do this, if I use this particular technology, if I use this kind of automation, will I get support after 5 years? Do I have the expertise in the industry? Do I have uh, the what we can say availability of the experts in the markets for training my workforce on how to use this automation, how to maintain this kind of automation equipments, etc. So for automation, you can take that decision easily. But for AI and some new forms of IoT, like blockchain also, so for if you want to integrate them, you should always start with a small pilot first, so that your day-to-day routine operations does not get impacted. Because whenever you are going to integrate any technology, once you are ready, you are not going to immediately switch over from one technology to another. There is going to be a ramp up time. So you are continuing your day-to-day operations, you are reducing them 90%, 10% with the new technology, then 80% in the next month, or maybe next week or next 15 days, depending on the scale of your operation. And then it will also, this complete transition from one technology to another is also going to take a considerable time. Why do we do that? Because whenever we move to a new technology, there are also always some issues. It is more like you do not, you have some ERP system from Oracle, and now you want to switch to maybe ERP from SAP. You do not have any CRM system currently. You want to use Salesforce CRM. So if you are integrating some technology with your existing operations, there may be disruptions happening. There will definitely be some issues coming, which because while the integration requirements were given, uh, and you configured the new ERP, there will always be some part which you may have missed because of oversight or because of some kind of human error also, and which you will encounter while you want to conduct some kind of actual operation. If whenever you are processing an actual customer order, that time you will encounter some issue that okay, array, we do not have this particular function because of this order was going to the operations, but this particular parameter is not configured, so it is not going in the production order. So whatever order that my factory is getting, it does not have this, it is missing these parameters and my operations cannot proceed without it. So these kind of disruptions are going to happen whenever you integrate new technology, and that is why we ramp up slowly. We do pilot projects. So we have to be very much aware and take care that yes, sustainability is good. We want to be sustainable. We want to have our manufacturing sustainable, but our existing operations that also should run for that particular period of time without any issues. Our day-to-day operation, our main business operations should not get disrupted because of we wanting to become sustainable also. So that is also a part of sustainability, that your day-to-day operations do not get disrupted. That is also a form of sustainability. Now, we want to discuss how sustainable manufacturing improves productivity. Some part of it we already have discussed that okay, they are going we some strategies where reducing energy consumption. So that is going to reflect in cost saving, that you will lower energy bills. And if you are aware, uh, or even if you are not aware of the operational costs of your facility, you should, um, out of curiosity, go and check on what are the utility bills that an organization is paying. For your factory, try to go to your finance team and ask them what is our monthly electricity bill, what is our monthly water bill, what are the human resources costs that we are getting. So by that you will get to understand that how much big of a component utility costs are for any facility, and that why any cost saving initiatives related to facilities, related to utilities will get immediate go ahead. Then reduced cost saving through reduced waste management cost. So waste, we have already seen that through lean you have team goods, transportation, inventory, then your skills, overproduction, and then over processing, etc. So if you reduce those wastes, naturally you will save costs. You have less material wastage. That is going to help you save cost. Then operational efficiency. So one of the strategies was lean. So what lean is going to help you with is optimizing your process flow, streamlining your processes, right? So that will help you increase your operational efficiency. So lean is just one of the approaches. It need not be lean always, but it is just one of the approaches which will which can help you start with operational improvements easily. But there are multiple approaches which you can also think about if you want such kind of process flow improvements in your operations. So whenever you want to implement lean and you want to optimize your process, the first step is that you have to map the existing process that you have at hand. The current process which you are following, you need to map it first. Are you aware of what all activities are happening in the manufacturing and processing of that your product? Do you have visibility in that process? And then once you map that process, then you start looking at what are the value added activities, what is the waiting time, what is the processing time, which is actually of adding value, what is the non-value added time, and then you try to reduce the non-value added time, which is nothing but your waste. So if you come to know that the process, just by reducing the time, I'm not going to achieve in much. You might come to know that in general, our process is very complicated. There are various hands off happening. The material is getting transferred from one station to another for multiple times. So just reducing the waiting time will not is not going to help you. Maybe I need to redesign the complete process flow. So that time you may have to use some aspects of business process reengineering, BPR. You may have to use some aspects of TQM, that you came to know that, okay, my processes, whatever I'm using, where they do not have that much of a hands off, or they follow single item flow or something, but it has to be but there is issue, or there are inefficiencies because of people skills, because of the working environment or something like that. So then you might want to use the TQM approach, total quality management, which has principles of employee engagements, which has principles of training and development across the organization, etc. So the approach that you use, you also may want to use Six Sigma if you have measurable data, and if you want to control your process statistically, then you can use some of the Six Sigma tools to optimize your supply chain process. So any approach, whichever is applicable to your situation, that should be used. I am telling you this because I have mentioned lean earlier, because it is an easier approach to use and start off with. But once you start lean, you also may encounter some challenges, and that time you may want to relook at the approach that you want to use for optimizing your supply chain process. Then streamline production with automation. Yes. So automation can help you definitely reduce your lead times, cycle times, and in the end, making your operations efficient, and reduced downtime and defects. So the principle of or aspect of TQM is total productive maintenance. Some of the tools that we use is OEE, which is overall equipment effectiveness. Though if you are following that approach, if you are using those tools, your the equipment that you are using for processing your raw material, they will have reduced downtime. And you will have higher operational efficiency because of lean, because of your process changes. You will have because of your training and development of your resources or your human skills, you will have less defects. Less defects meaning you will have higher efficiency. Regulatory compliance. How it helps in productivity is we avoid fines, legal penalties if we have sustainable practices. And there are some sustainability standards like ISO 14001 and ISO uh, 24040 is also one of the guidelines for sustainable procurement. There is a ISO standard 26,000. So there are different standards which we have to adhere to. And if you adhere to those standards, there are some guidelines there which will also help you improve productivity. Then brand reputation. So sustainability, why it is important and why businesses should focus on it. We had seen briefly in our first session that one of the benefits is brand reputation and market advantage. So attracting environmentally conscious consumers and meeting investor expectations for sustainability. So definitely sustainable manufacturing is also going to help you build a brand reputation, because that can be used for your marketing campaigns, that we have safe manufacturing facilities. our manufacturing facilities are carbon neutral. We had seen this in on the impact page of Tesla, right? That our their Tesla's US facility, they had shown what was the layout of that, and they had shown the Shanghai Gigafactory, what is the layout of that, and having that layout, what are the implications of that? They were showing in graphical format that for each vehicle that is manufactured out of Shanghai factory, we have made the factory in such a way, considering the sustainability aspects and our initiatives towards going having a sustainable environment, our initiatives which show care towards the environment, towards the society. Each car that is being manufactured out of Shanghai facility is consuming 35% less energy than their United States facility. So that directly shows an impact of whatever their initiatives that they are taking up related to sustainability. What are their sustainability goals and that? And that as a consumer creates a huge impact in my mind. If I am environmentally conscious, and more consumers are becoming environmentally conscious, right? So they are using that to create a kind of or build on their brand reputation, and it definitely creates a market advantage for them. Now consider a case where um, we see that electric vehicles uses of them, acceptance of them is increasing in India. So if we have brands which also more and more marketing that how they are using sustainability aspects to improve their operations, improve their procurement, etc. So we will also get more aligned to them. We would want to buy their products. If I am an investor, I would want to be invested with a sustainable business, which is caring for sustainability, which is caring for the environment, which is caring for the society. Because they, as an investor, when I get to know that these guys are working towards sustainability, one of the pillars of sustainability is also economic sustainability. That means they want to reduce costs, they want to reduce wastage, etc. That means their investments are going to be more safe with them because they are not going to waste their invested amount. Whatever I'm giving them to work as an investor, they are also not going to waste a part of it, right? So that way also sustainability is helping. Then employee satisfaction and retention. So first is better working conditions. So we had seen that one of the key features or key aspects of sustainable manufacturing is having safe working conditions. So you have environmental health and safety policies, which are there as per standards and also followed as per standards, just not for the sake of it. For my only for audit purpose, it is not there, but it is actually being practiced. You have the safety gears and equipments uh, given to the your labor force, and they are also in good condition. It is not just like you are giving some gloves, some helmets, and those are also damaged. It should not be the case. And only at the time of audit, you go to your store, take a new set and keep it in place. And once the audit is over, again you take back. So that is not following the EHS policies, right? But you are consistently following them. So that is creating a better working environment. Also, uh, while we are making sure that accidents or hazardous situations or safety incidents do not happen in our operations, they may happen because we are dealing with equipments, we are dealing with heavy machinery, we are dealing with heavy material. So accidents can happen. So once the accident happens, what is our response to that? How do we handle that situation then? Are our laborers insured? Do we have optimal health insurance coverages? does our medical insurance cover or is able to help them sufficiently, or is it not sufficient? That way, also that is also one of the ways of improving working conditions, that you have a good medical insurance for your good health insurance for your laborers. What are the terms and conditions for that medical insurance? These parts are not covered. This is the claim time. The claim process is too difficult, etc. So that is not building a good working environment. So you need to also partner with some kind of health insurance provider who have a proven record of claim settlement ratio, etc. Something like that. So that is also one way of improving your working condition. Then the second point is higher employee engagement. So if you have a safe working environment and you have initiatives towards, making the environment better, you have sustainability initiatives, which we earlier spoke about, that they are working towards the good of the society. Indirectly, you will have higher engagements. One of the sustainability related initiative companies take up is through their corporate social responsibility funds. They invest in some NGOs. They support some NGOs who are working towards betterment of the society in rural areas, who are working towards education of the underprivileged community, who are working towards the health improvement in malnourished area. So if you know that your company is engaged in some of such initiatives, as a company employee, that also gives you a sense of pride that I am responsible for something. I am also engaged with this initiative. And as a part of voluntary activity, employees also get engaged in such initiatives, right? So whenever we say that company is investing in some kind of NGO, companies working with some kind of an NGO, companies have their, invested in some initiatives where maybe vaccine camp is conducted by company people and etc. So company is not an entity. Any organization is not some entity. It is just a group of people working together. So everyone is an employee of that organization, and they together form that organization. So mm, companies wherein sustainability initiatives are taken up, they also give an opportunity for their employees to participate in such initiatives. So that will definitely result in higher employee engagement and retention. Retention we had spoken about for some time in last session, wherein you want to be associated more with a brand which has a good image in the eyes of the society, right? Because if I'm we had discussed what is the image of Tata, but if I am an employee of Tata, it gives me a sense of pride that okay, I am doing something towards nation building. I am doing something towards society, to the betterment of the society. And also the society, when I go into the society as a Tata employee, their um, outlook towards me, how they look at me is also changing, because that Tata brand is associated with me also. So their behavior will also change. So um, because of such a environment, I will have better retention visible in my organization. And also one of the key features of sustainability was you have fair wages. That means the employees that you have at your facility, they getting paid um, properly. There is no unethical or non-transparent behavior in that, or non-transparent aspect in their salaries and etc. So definitely that is going to help with you with retention. Your employees would want to be associated with you more and more years, maybe for retirement also. So we generally say for Tata any Tata Group company, whether it is TCS, whether it is Tata Motors, etc., you will see the average working years or the average experience for any employee would be very high as compared to their competitors. Why is that? Because employees have better engagement, employees are more satisfied, and because they have better working conditions, etc. And that is nothing but sustainability. Having a sustainable manufacturing, having sustainable operations, that is part of that. So there are some figures here, like this gives some kind of techniques which you can use, like implementation of lean, pressure to go green, promoting green practices, employee involvement, environmental performance, ISO 14001 adoption, etc., which will help you move towards transforming your existing operations towards sustainable operations or sustainable manufacturing. So sustainable manufacturing, how it improves productivity, we tried to discuss that it is financially viable, it minimizes negative environmental impacts, it conserves energy, and it conserves natural resources naturally. Now we also want to measure this impact, like we did in measuring the impact of sustainable procurement. We, as manufacturing function or as operations function, on my facility, I want to measure the sustainability parameters, sustainability aspects. So I can have KPIs such as carbon footprint reduction, like I can measure the CO2 emissions of my facility. I can measure the energy efficiency improvement for my facility per unit of production, right? For water conservation, what amount of water am I using in my facility? Can I conserve it? Can I use treated water maybe for activities which do not have human intervention? Like you may have seen, manufacturing facilities have a big landscape. They have lawns, grass lawns. They have huge uh, plants also sometimes. So you have to water them regularly. So rather than using fresh water, can I use recycled water, which is the waste water generated from my factory? Can I treat that water and reuse for this um, secondary uses? That is nothing but water conservation. But per unit of my product, how much liters of water have I conserved? That can be a metric which I can, with pride, showcase to the world that this is how I am being sustainable. Waste reduction rates. So percentage of waste recycled. In terms of absolute weight, you can measure the amount of waste that you have generated today. And if you implement some kind of supply sustainability initiative, what is the reduction in that weight? You can measure that absolute in terms of absolute weight or in terms of percentage, right? So those are also some kind of KPIs you can think of and start implementing in your operations. And then supply chain sustainability score. So if you are following some kind of ESG compliance or so, you have some kind of sustainability score, supply chain sustainability core framework, wherein you put in your data and it will give you some kind of score. So as you move towards global sustainability, you want to be showcased either, or you want to match up with the sustainability guidelines of UN, or maybe some industrial associations in United States or Europe. They have developed some supply chain sustainability scores, which will give you and your competitors and your consumers an easy visual dashboard kind of a thing, that okay, on the sustainability score index, how are we progressing year by year? As we spoke earlier, sustainability initiatives are not going to happen overnight. They are going to take a considerable amount of time. So over that period of time, over the period of your 5 to 10 years of commitment towards going towards net zero or being carbon neutral, you want to track that, right? Year by year, you want to report that. In procurement, we had seen that how to report to external world. or stakeholders, etc. Those are through annual reports. So you should be able to show a trend that yes, we are moving towards the right direction. So for that, you can have some KPIs which can show your supply chain sustainability score. Okay. Then what are the challenges in implementing sustainable manufacturing? So high initial costs. So investing in green technology and infrastructure naturally, you know, is going to consider a huge amount of capital cost. We had discussed in this in when we were discussing the strategies of um, sustainable manufacturing, that we want to integrate technology, but it is going to cost you a lot. If you want to automate your manufacturing setup, it is going to be a huge initial cost. Over a period of 10 years or so, it is going to get recovered, and you eventually you will find that okay, it is better to invest now rather than going ahead with the same method. But still, today you have to invest more. So that is a challenge. Where are you going to get that fund from? Where are you going to get that much amount of investment from? That is a challenge. Supply chain complexity. So ensuring sustainability across global suppliers is a challenge. So one challenge which we discussed about sustainable supply chain was having global supply chain. You have your raw material being sourced from Vietnam, which is getting processed in China. Then it is getting processed somewhat in India, and then you are processing that semi-finished good in India, out of India to US for final assembly. So if your customer is in Europe, then this overall supply chain, global supply chain becomes very complex if you want to implement sustainability initiatives. But definitely that is a challenge, but it is something that we have to do and focus on. There are market pressures. We have spoken about it. Knowledge and skills gap, need for employee training in green technologies. So that is something upcoming currently, that more and more awareness about um, sustainability related initiatives and green technologies there, and resistance to change. So any change that you are going to bring in, it is going to have kind of resistance from your employees, resistance from your organization, resistance from your management. It is going to be there because you are disturbing their day-to-day operations. They have got very comfortable in their day-to-day operations, and any change you might have seen is a disruption. Like for you as a student also, if there is any change in the schedule which is different than the routine schedule which you are following, initially you are resistant. The similar way, because it is the human nature of getting comfortable with your environment, and then if there is any change in your environment, you get the first reaction of a human mind is resist to change. So that is a challenge in implementing sustainable manufacturing. So what are the best practices? You have to start small. So like I said, if you want to integrate some kind of new technology, do a pilot project first. Implement gradual changes to improve sustainability. Then engage with stakeholders. You have to include your suppliers, employees, and customers in sustainability efforts. It is not going to be an individual effort. You have to engage everybody. You have to completely engage. You have to engage the complete part of your supply chain, all the players in your supply chain. Leverage technologies, adopt green certifications like ISO 14001, LEED, and Energy Star certifications which will be if you apply for that certification, you will have to by default show that I am saving energy, I am using renewable resources, etc. So you adopt green certifications, and continuous income improvement, lean, continuous improvement. Regularly evaluate sustainability KPIs and adjust your strategies accordingly. So, okay, this is the end of our two sessions, of our session two, sorry, but to our session two, in which we tried to cover two topics, sustainable procurement and sustainable manufacturing. So under sustainable procurement, we tried to go through how it enhances supply chain resilience, how to apply some of the key principles to procurement decisions, and we tried to identify some of the metrics for measuring procurement sustainability. Then under sustainable manufacturing, what is sustainable manufacturing, what is its role in efficiency and waste reduction, which are the best practices and technologies or strategies we can use for going towards sustainable manufacturing, and then we try to assess its economic and environmental benefits. Okay, so thank you. These slides and additional reference notes are going to be shared with you after this session. So you will have access to this particular material whenever you get time. I would request you to go through. And if you have any queries, doubts related to any topic or in general to this subject called sustainable supply chain, you can definitely get in touch with me directly either through LinkedIn or through you can channel your questions through your mentors also. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll be stopping the recording now.